This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to What the Health, an independent approach to your health span. Have you noticed how our healthcare system may not have your best interest in mind? Join Dr. Eckel in this fun and sometimes disturbing exploration of the state of healthcare and what it means for you. Now, here's your host, Dr. Eckel.
Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Greg Eckel, and this is What the Health. And I have a special treat for you today. We're going to talk on lymphatics, which is, a really exhilarating topic, but I have this lovely guest and friend, Shivan Sarna, on, and she is out educating the world about this topic. And we're going to talk about it in its relationship to our brain health. But I want to first give you a proper introduction. So after being diagnosed with small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, so SIBO, in 2015, Shivan set out on a mission to heal her gut and get her life back. But she quickly was frustrated by the lack of accurate and reliable information. Does that sound familiar to anybody? She made it her mission to bring SIBO experts from around the world together in one place to get help to people who needed it. She founded the SIBO SOS to support others on their journey to understand, treat, and manage irritable bowel syndrome, SIBO, and other digestive issues. Through her book, Healing SIBO, workshops, expert-led courses, a podcast, a blog, and a free Facebook community, SIBO SOS, has now helped thousands of people. Shivan, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. This is my new baby, my new book, Healing SIBO.
Yes.
I'm totally excited about that. It's on Amazon.
When did that come out?
February 2nd.
Oh, congratulations. I've got to get that. I love books. I don't know if you know that about me, but I've been a librarian at heart my whole life. And my staff says, stop ordering books, but I'm a ferocious reader, and I love supporting authors, and especially with amazing topics like that.
Thank you.
That is really rad. And you have a whole lymph summit coming up.
I do, which might sound strange because I'm, educating people about small intestine bacterial overgrowth, but I happen to love doing online summits. And that's one of the ways that I made so many health discoveries way back when I was searching Dr. Google, and I found online summits, and I was like, you know what? We need to do one about SIBO because people don't know about this, and I'm making all these discoveries, and it's a long story, but now I'm in my 5th summit. And if people don't know what that is, it's a series of interviews. I do master classes and interviews. And thank you, Greg, for being in the Lymphatic Rescue Summit. Yeah. And you can watch them for free over a period of time, 24 hours, and you get 5 interviews that day and so on for about a week. If you want to buy it, great. If not, it's an incredible resource of free information. So, Greg, I've done them on SIBO and IBS, the microbiome. And my mother passed away in the 90s from lymphoma. And in the back of my mind, this whole time, I have been wanting to do one on the lymphatic system. COVID happened. Hey, let's pay attention to our immune system. Duh. And so I put together the Lymphatic Rescue Summit. And I'm very, very happy with the way it turned out. We're expecting 100,000 people to join us for this free event. So it starts April 19th and goes for about a week. And thank you for contributing your masterclass to it.
Yes.
The lymphatic system, as you know so well, is one of the most under-talked about, underutilized, if you wanted to actively use it to help heal ourselves.
Yeah.
To help heal, no matter what you got going on.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I was likening it to the spinal cord and central nervous system. There must have been a time, there was, of course, when people didn't realize that the spinal cord had fluid in it, and your central nervous system went up and down it. And then if a nerve got pinched, then maybe that's why, your hip hurt or whatever. And it's been much more recent that we have had information about the lymphatic system. and the information that's traveling throughout the entire body with that circuitry, I call it. For those of you who are not like a lymphatic system, wait a minute, I have lymph nodes. When I have a sore throat, I think about my lymph nodes. They're actually all over your body, with the vast majority of them from the neck up, but you can actually manage them to a certain extent. I've had so many of the speakers refer to it as a super highway of detoxing, plumbing, electricity and plumbing combined, all kinds of ways of describing it. But if you think about fascia, which is if you've ever lifted the skin off of a chicken breast, and it's that white, very strong, filmy, like skin layer, but not the bumpy skin, that is fascia. And that is holding us all together. Oh my gosh, if you didn't have fascia, you would die and just be a blob. Okay.
Yeah.
So the lymphatic system and the fascia are very, very closely intertwined. And I think that what happened was, just from talking to everybody, it was just sort of overlooked. Right? It was just overlooked in medical school. Cadavers.
Well, who wants to really talk? It's not so sexy,
No, it's not sexy.
Yeah. No, I mean, one, when you say fascia, I always think of that Austin Powers movie, the fascia. Do you remember that?
No, I don't even remember that.
Nobody
on my roof.
Yes.
Fascia on my roof.
The fascia on the roof. So
Right.
it is, this often overlooked, but very essential. I mean, we didn't know about the glymphatics, the lymphatics of the brain. When I was in medical school, we didn't even know that existed.
Right. It's kind of exciting, this new information that's coming out, especially in a world where you start to wonder, is anything new anymore? Well, this is a discovery that is new. And the lymphatic system is fascinating. And Dr. Christine Schaffner talks about it in the summit, about how your brain during sleep actually contracts so that the lymphatic, or the fluid, to oversimplify it, around your brain can actually drain and sort of reset in your sleep. And I find that fascinating.
Yes. There's a really cool video of that. I'm psyched to kind of turn people on to that interview during the lymphatic summit for sure, of the brain actually shrinking and then it's getting washed over with the lymph fluid. So what exactly is lymph? Because, we're talking, okay, there's a whole system. It's in the fascia. There's maybe some electrical current on it as well. How do you talk about it? I mean, you gave a couple, like the detox superhighway.
Yeah.
I talk about it as kind of like the garbage system and the plumbing of the body. Again, not so sexy, but very important, because if you didn't have a sewer system, I mean, just think about that at your house, right?
Yeah, right. So imagine, again, oversimplifying it, but I think it works. Imagine your veins, right? Your veins are moving that blood around, your arteries, all that super highway of blood. And the heart is the pump, right? So the lymphatic system is sort of similar in terms of the circuitry and this fluid moving through your body, but it does not have a pump. So we can maneuver and manipulate it and make it flow more effectively through several techniques: exercise, vibration plates, inversions, if you do yoga, or legs up the wall, dry brushing. There's a bunch of different things you can do, trampolines, the rebounders. But there's also some tricks to the fact that you have to open up the lymphatic system and all those lymph nodes right up by your throat and collarbone first, so you don't get it all blocked up. And, I taught yoga in person for 10 years. I'm going to start teaching yoga again online. But I wish that I had started every single yoga class with the deep breath, namaste, let's open up those lymph nodes. I would have loved to have done that. And they're strategically placed, at the neck, at the armpit, at the sort of below the sternum, the groin area. And I go behind the knee, and I do a good little foot rub too, just fast. You can do it very, very quickly. And what will happen is you kind of feel it actually. It's actually a big beauty secret of the stars. Like they don't go to premieres or out without doing a quick little lymphatic massage to sort of drain the puffiness from their face. That's all lymph fluid. Ever had a massage and afterwards you're like, oh, it's funny, I got a little sore throat. That's so weird.
Yeah.
That's lymph, baby. You got to move it and you got to drink water. Please drink water.
Yeah. Right. Because that is how things get into the lymph and then how your muscles, etc., move the lymph. Right. So being well hydrated. So it is, it is fascinating. You know, when I walked in, I will tell you, and they said, well, what's the topic? I said, the lymphatics. And they kind of looked at me puzzled. And I was like, I was very excited to talk about it because I know what it does. Yeah, but for the general, right. So what are some of the highlights or some of the big, like, I didn't know that about the lymph that you learned because you just got to interview how many speakers on this summit?
I really can't remember right now. It's
like over 30.
Over 30. Yeah. Over 30. It's a ton.
For sure.
For sure. I think some of the interesting things were, okay, when you exercise, I would open up the lymphatic system first with these gentle tapping, easy massage. And we show that a lot on the Lymphatic Rescue Summit, videos of that. And then how gently you can exercise to move the lymph. We're talking Tai Chi slow to get that lymph moving. I think that's one thing that I have to constantly remind myself of is that you don't need to beat yourself up to make change in the body. I used to get rolfed. I used to get all kinds of, beat me up type massages where I was just like walking wounded, but I'd be like, oh yeah, it's getting to the muscle. Oh yeah, it's getting to the whatever. And I would end up putting my body into an inflammation state. Yeah. So I was actually really traumatizing my body. And now I'm really into cranial sacral. I'm into softer, fluid moving techniques. And it doesn't take a lot to move the lymph. And that I think is kind of interesting and just a great reminder for everyone. Yeah. And a reminder that you can impact your immune system. You can impact your lymphatic system and that you might feel kind of lousy in the beginning until you really do detox. And so many people are into detox. Bentonite clay, how do you detox? Charcoal, whatever you got going on there, the binders and all that.
Yes.
If you're not moving your lymphatic and you're not pooping, you're going to feel so bad, potentially. I hope that's not happening to you, but please move your lymph. Please make sure you're pooping enough because otherwise it's just recirculating. That's a big reminder.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're basically, so what is traveling in the lymph is your body takes all of the waste products in there, all the old viruses or bacteria that your immune system has come across and they drag them in there. That's why your lymph glands swell when you get sick, right? Like you look at your kids and they kind of have little lumps on their throat, or maybe even you listening or watching can put your hands on your neck and feel like, oh, I have this like lump over there. It probably is not tender anymore, but when you're sick, they can be quite tender, the lymph glands. And so that is, it's kind of like the gel cells of our immune system takes things in there to lock them up and digest them so that they're not in your circulation anymore. And it is a foundational component to health that really went overlooked for a long time. I mean, when you go back in the old anatomy books, you can see the lymphatics are, beautifully illustrated in there, but it hasn't, there's not a drug to take for it. There's not an intervention to do for the lymph. I mean, other than the ones that you've put forth in the summit, there's a lot obviously that we can do, but there's no sales rep coming into my office to talk about the lymph. Right.
Not at all. Right.
Right. So other aha moments that you discovered. So definitely on foundational work, this is a piece of the puzzle that everybody needs to be aware of. And I really appreciate you bringing it forth in its own bannered summit. That's really cool. Yeah.
Yay. Yeah. And the response has been great. So I'm really excited about how many people do recognize they need to know about it. Yeah. And I think that the immunity component is obviously on everybody's mind right now. I think detox is, if that's like something, oh yeah, I like to detox, that's really important. Some other ahas were about how connected the gut is to the lymphatic system, and how migraines can be associated with lymphatic stagnation and glymphatic stagnation. So one of the things, so if you're a pump, right, your body moving is the pump, right? Tapping very gently can get things moving. I find that even like chewing gum, not that you want to do that all the time, but chewing gum, like if I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling like, oh, that lymphatic system did not drain well last night, and I chew something, maybe I have, carrot or celery first thing in the morning, it helps. It really helps. You got to get things, you have to mechanically move certain things of your body to help the pump motion, because you don't have the heart pumping the lymphatics, you have you pumping lymphatics.
Yeah, so that movement and motion really is critical, kind of that use it or lose it comes to mind. So that's interesting. You found you had a speaker talking with regards to migraines. And, how many folks out there listening, watching, if you suffer with migraines or headaches, have even had any provider talk to you about moving your lymph,
Right.
And so what is that? It all backs up here in the throat and the neck, and then kind of congests the head. So what a secret sauce that you're unveiling here to the world.
I'm excited about it because I do think that, I think it's a discovery. It's, even though it's obviously there, and there are, certain people, obviously I found over 30 experts to talk about it, but I think it's something we don't think about. And I'm excited about bringing it up. I start continuing this conversation. If you're into health, chances are you're already slightly tuned into it. But once you find out all of these tricks and ideas and tips about how you can manipulate and manage your own lymphatic system, it's very empowering, right?
Yeah.
So one of the other things that I really want to remind people of is you don't have to move a lot. It's not like you have to be vigorously active, but if you are vigorously active, please get that lymph opening happening. Dry brushing doesn't have to be the only way to do it. Ladies, guys have cellulite too, but if you're interested in sort of managing cellulite, that's also part of this fat lymphatic fascia combination. There's a machine out there that a few practitioners have, and it's called the Flow Presso. Yeah. And have you heard of this, Greg?
I've had it done.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're kind of in this bodysuit, and it's like a blow up Michelin Man kind of thing, and you're on the inside, and it presses your tissue in a rhythmic way, and it moves your lymphatic system. And there are other benefits to it as well, but it's fascinating, and I'm excited there are biological dentists that have this machine. You don't have to have the machine in order to move your lymphatic system, but it's just interesting. The other thing is there are professional lymphatic massage therapists, and that is really, really specialized. So if you really feel like this is something that is resonating with you, how do I get this going? Obviously watch the summit, but also, Google in your area, lymphatic massage, lymphatic drainage. It is,
it's a
series of techniques.
And that brings up, there's two things that I want to make sure. One, I'm just putting a pin. I want to go back to the gut component. Like you said, you were maybe surprised at how much the involvement of the lymph was in the gut. Then this first piece is, I think a lot of folks have maybe heard of it. If you had a relative that had breast cancer and maybe had lymph glands removed, and then, they had swelling in their arm, or, you can't get your blood pressure on the one side because of the swelling, or you don't have that fluid dynamics anymore. So that may come into our vernacular awareness in a pathological front, but then there are these specialized massage therapists that really know, what the lymph flow is, and then how to help aid your body in detoxification and lymph flow, because this is not something that you want to just venture into potentially by yourself. I mean, the tapping opening is a good thing, but you can actually get really sick by cleaning out your lymph, because it is the sewage system. It's like where all the toxins and waste have gone. And so there is a metered dose of it, of doing it educatedly, because it is, if you are venturing into detox realm or anything like that, this is some foundational work to do before you get to an actual detox. So, how many detoxes do have lymph, and doing the lymph justice, so to speak? Not many.
Not many. Dr. Christine Schaffner, I know, does it. There's not a lot. So if you're doing it, if someone out here listening is doing it and going to be doing some, even just massage therapy, like if your massage therapist is not tuned into the lymph system, which I can say that not all of them are.
Not all of them are. They are taught that. I used to teach at the beginning of my career 21 years ago. I started out with teaching anatomy and physiology at a massage school. So I did educate a good cadre of massage therapists in the Portland metro area. So, one area across the globe, but that it is part of the curriculum. Okay. So coming back to the gut component. So what were some insights, because this is near and dear to you with the SIBO journey, and really, and I want to just give you kudos on the work you're doing there on educating folks, both professionals and lay public, the work that you're doing with the docs, and some near and dear friends of mine here. So it's really great.
Yeah, I know we have a lot of those friends in common. Just quickly, if someone isn't familiar with what SIBO is, it's small intestine bacterial overgrowth, and it's the #1 underlying cause of IBS. Yeah. And if you have bloating, if you have diarrhea, constipation, or alternating diarrhea and constipation, and you've a couple of things, and you're like, my stomach's flat when I wake up in the morning, and then it's so bloated by, after lunch, what's going on here? That could be SIBO, and it is a treatable condition. And if you've ever gone to your doctor and said, do I have IBS? And the doctor's like, yeah, you have IBS. That's a diagnosis of exclusion. And that means you don't have Crohn's or something more serious, but you still have this major scenario where it's kind of like a lifestyle cramp, to say the least. And it can also lead to vitamin deficiencies, rosacea, restless leg syndrome. Dr. Stephanie Hayes from Portland feels like it might be connected to infertility. Very interesting. And it's something to explore and to look into. There are tests for IBS, including the IBS SMART test, to see if your IBS is actually from food poisoning, even from decades ago. That's at gemellilabs.com. I'm not a paid rep. I'm just telling you what I wish I had known 5 years ago. That test didn't exist there 5 years ago. So there's a diet you can do to control your symptoms, but there's also things you can do to remove the overgrowth of the bacteria in the small intestine. Okay. So that just wanted to give you a background about what I've been teaching people about for the last 5 years.
That's awesome.
And you can go to my website, SIBOSOS.com, and Dr. Allison Seebecker's site, SIBOinfo.com. They have courses, tons of info. Okay. Get the book.
Get the book.
Get the book, Healing SIBO.
Yes.
It's going to be like the best $20 you spend on this condition, because it will save you so much time, energy, and money. The lymphatic system, just like the neurotransmitters, are also residing in your gut. Oh my gosh. This lymphatic location is so important. Think about what's getting, the food getting consumed, the nutrition getting consumed, the byproducts going into the colon, you pooping it out, all that jazz. So you have this, like, literally, if we were cellophane coated and not coated in skin and you could see everything, I always say that my colon and my small intestine would be so pretty. I do like facial massages for it, whatever.
Yeah.
But because it's hidden under our skin, just like our teeth are only the front ones are showing what's going on back there, there's a disconnect in this country between that, the gut and the rest of the body. And more discoveries are being made, which is so exciting. But the cleaner your gut, the cleaner your lymphatic system. The cleaner your lymphatic system, the cleaner your gut. And if you ever feel like you have fluid, like it's almost swollen around your belly, then as a layperson making an observation, it's probably lymph fluid that needs to get moving. Ever done a yoga class and afterwards you're like, wow, I just feel like I was in a sauna, which also is helpful for lymph. I just feel like I was like, a sweaty towel that just got like twisted and, it's dripping out. That's because you just move so much, and literally you look in the mirror and people are like, oh, you look so good. Did you just have a makeover? No, I just did a yoga class. It's because this fluid is moving out of the places it's not supposed to be overflowing in.
Yeah. Yeah. So that component on, water weight gain in a day, people can go up and down 5 pounds of water fluid in a day, and really tied into the lymphatics for sure on that front. The whole immune system connection with our bowel and then the gut associated lymphoid tissue, the GALT, it does make sense that it goes hand in hand with, it's not really in our bodies. Like you could eat a piece of food and it could just pass right through you. It didn't really get absorbed into your system, right? So that holy tube going down the middle. And so we have the whole immune system component there to set up to get anything that gets into our body. And then we also have like the jail cells of like, take it into the lymph, like disassemble that invader. So this makes total sense that it is, totally entwined and wrapped. The lymph, when you look at the anatomy books, it does travel with the arteries and veins. It's in a threefer bundle. They all kind of travel together because, in Chinese medicine, I like to say we have the healing properties of our body travel in the blood. So to get impurities and other things out of the blood, we have to take it out into the connective tissue, into the fascia, and then into the lymph to then be, deconjugated, dissolved, and deactivated, so to speak, and then, gets recycled back through. So it is a fascinating discussion.
Even if you're not a nerd like we are, it really is something people should be paying attention to.
Yeah. What do you think about, how about the lymph system and immune system? So we're covering a couple different areas. We went from the brain to the gut. Now, how about around our immunity? What are you seeing there?
What I'm seeing there is that, with the big virus, people are paying more attention to that more than ever. So it seems, I don't know. Can you say something good happened from all of this? I don't know. But one thing that was a byproduct that was, interesting is that people are learning more about their bodies.
Right.
And so immunity, I think, is on everybody's mind more than ever. And if you have a clogged up lymphatic system, the chances of you being truly long-term healthy are not as great as someone who has, theoretically, all their lymphatic systems sort of moving and cranking and getting rid of toxins. So look, I have thought I'll like, oh, I feel like I'm getting a cold or something. I've had those experiences and I've done the lymphatic drainage and I feel like maybe it's psychosomatic, doc, but I feel like I've maybe like avoided getting certain things because I was moving stuff out. What do you think about that?
No, you can definitely have a metabolically adaptive state where you're in a higher resonance or frequency of health. And so by taking care of the foundational stuff, I definitely think you can make yourself more metabolically adaptive. So
nice.
Less apt to get ill.
Great.
When you look at, why, in particular, I'll say it out loud, coronavirus, why kids aren't the ones dying of it is they're healthier. Like, why aren't we having that discussion around that? Like the virus kills people that are sick, like they're just not well. And so there's no discussion around that. Like you look at the four, what are the comorbidities with COVID? And it is people that, have cardiovascular disease, have lung issues, they are predetermined or, predisposed is the word I was looking for, to have some challenges. And so, it is that component for you. You tuned into it and said, you know what, I'm going to take care of just foundational work. When we're talking here, I was like, man, what we need to do is just create the free resources. I mean, we had public health had a year to educate people about this, and they didn't. And so I have to say, like, what in the world? Like, our public health policy has been ridiculous if we're really talking about caring for people. Like, why aren't we teaching people about their bodies? You know,
Darwin,
really,
that is an age-old question that gets all kinds of political craziness to it. So we got to take our health into our own hands.
And
so
that is exactly this platform. That's why I created What the Health, you know?
Man.
Yes.
I think I said something wrong earlier that 500 of the lymph nodes were above the neck. That's not true. It's actually like 300 are the neck and above, because your body has about 500 individual lymph nodes. And the other thing I wanted to mention, just because we're throwing out like anatomical terms, that complex web of the lymphatic system, the network, is bone marrow, your thymus, the spleen, your tonsils, and that's kind of what we're like feeling when we get that sore throat. And it's also like a big cancer surveillance program. So that's what I wanted to sort of summarize in case people are just tuning in, like what is the lymphatic system? It's not just like a sore throat. It is an incredibly important system in the body that if it didn't work for a couple of days, you'd be dead.
Yeah. Okay. Pretty important. Yeah. Love that. Love that. So on the immunity front, so you had the anecdotal evidence for Shivan on tuning into your lymph glands and not getting ill. You know, what on the summit, what can we expect? Do you have some highlights from that you?
I do. First of all, Kelly Kennedy, who's referred to as the lymph queen, is a really dynamic talker and a speaker. And if you go and register now, you get 3 free interviews before the lymph summit even starts.
Yeah.
And her talk is called the Lymphatic Truth Bombs, and she's just like a firecracker. But one thing she talks about is, do you have pits or puffs? So you see these supermodels, you see these really fit people, and their armpits are truly pits. And then you see other people, maybe this is you, going home, look in the mirror, and it's almost like puffy.
Yeah.
And that means if it's puffy, you definitely have some work to do, and you can help to sort of deflate that puff into a pit. It may take some time, but that is a telltale sign as well. Yeah, right? I love that. Pits versus puffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do have Dr. Christine Schaffner talking about the lymphatic system. Dr. Jay Davidson, who a lot of people know from his work with parasites and Lyme, he talks about liver lymphatics. Super interesting.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. And Dr. Ann Hill, do you know Dr. Ann Hill?
I do. Yeah, I went to school with her. Yes.
So much. He is one of our top most watched speakers in our summit. So that's so cool you two know each other.
Awesome.
Her talk is called Meet the Lymphatic System, the Immune Superhighway. So she also talks about diet, exercise, lifestyle, most common lymph systems. She's kind of obsessed with the lymph system too, which I totally appreciate.
Yeah.
Back to Christine Schaffner, she talks about using the 4th phase of water and structured water for lymphatic support. What do you think about that? How do you structure your water, and what is structured water?
I love it. You know, I have my little, my Arc crystal that I wear every day. Nice. And I can actually structure water with this little piece. And I like wearing it on my body because it creates that field effect. So structured water, this is a lot of people, maybe our listeners, viewers will know the work of Emoto. He's a Japanese researcher that did a lot with like talking to water and then putting words and emotions on the water and then looking at it underneath a microscope to see, you know, did it create a beautiful structured like snowflake looking molecule, or was it all fractured? And so he showed actually that, you know, our words do matter, and that water can be structured in such a sense that it has inherent carrying capacities for more oxygen, better nutrient absorption. So structured water is an important thing. When you look in nature, what does it is the flow of water in rivers and streams, and how there's all of the eddies, and it's a living water, versus if you have, lead and kind of deionized water with no nutrients in it, that becomes unstructured water. And then we've got our friend up the street here from Portland, Oregon, Gerald Pollack of University of Washington, that discovered that fourth phase of water. And I think that's where Dr. Schaffner is really tuned in, because she's up in Seattle, really looking at the effects of water on structured water. And then that fourth phase in this EZ zone, which is an exclusionary zone around our cells. So all of our cells, when they're healthy, they have this EZ layer of water around it as another protective barrier. So it's exclusionary zone water and this fourth phase. So there's a lot of talk, a lot of research coming out around this, that you can use different energetic properties to structure water, different intentions to structure water. So it's a really fascinating component.
Oh my gosh. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. That's why we have little signs around my house that say love and gratitude.
Yes.
Those were the most powerful words that made the molecules of the water sort of perk up the most.
Yeah.
So we're all about the love and the gratitude.
That works for Dr. Greg as well. So,
okay. Love and gratitude, my friend. Love and
everybody.
gratitude.
I mean, really all human beings and plants, etc. It's like
my cat.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And that's where the research is on the gratitude, right? I mean, a lot of folks listening to the show have heard that before. If not, we'll write in, let us know if you haven't heard me talk about gratitude before. But it is a biggie on our well-being, our happiness. And so the love and gratitude in the research shows better structure of water. And we just do much better with that in the world, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
So in September of 2021, I'm actually doing a biological dentistry summit as well. And then in June, as I back it up to 2021, I'm relaunching my documentary Digestion SOS, Rescue and Relief for IBS, SIBO, and Leaky Gut, which I'm super excited about. But this is happening, our Lymphatic Rescue Summit is happening April 19th, and that's a free for a week. One of the more thought-provoking surprises, because you were asking me about that, is your mouth the root cause of your lymph issues? So we have two speakers talking about that, including the incredible Dr. Jerry Curatola, the biological dentist, about how the lymphatic system and your mouth, your tonsils, your sinuses, your lymphatic system, your brain are all connected to the rest of your body. And biological dentistry, for those of you who don't know, well, what's the difference? I don't have a one-liner for this. I need to get one, but it is the union of your mouth to the rest of the body in a healthful way, versus separating the mouth out in medical school to a bunch of dude dentists. And then the rest of you are going to learn about the rest of the body. Greg, right. What are you thinking?
I'm right there with you. I was going to say, go figure, your mouth is connected to your body. And so that, I like how you said that. I mean, it really is. It's the holistic approach to dentistry. So it's like they're the integrative dentistry, like integrative medicine is now a term, in that they treat people as whole dynamic beings that they are, rather than the pieces and parts. So it's not a reductionist model. So I want to definitely make the introduction, and I'll give a shout out to Dr. Kelly Blodgett here in Portland, Oregon. He just had a 20th anniversary of being open in town, and he should be on the summit because he's a really rad. He is. He's on your summit.
He's coming on to the summit.
Awesome. Good. So you already know him, but he's a really awesome soul and really smart dude to boot. So that's great.
I'm excited about that. We also have Dr. Todd Watts talking about intestinal lymphatics, so more gut. Jody Cullen talking about essential oils to heal the lymphatic system. And Madia Saeed, How to Support Lymphatics on a Budget. She's so practical. I love it.
Wow.
Dr. Marisol Tijero is going to be talking about the brain and the lymph, and she's the one who gets everybody into castor oil packs.
Yes.
Dr. Stephen Sandberg Lewis of Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
Who is magnificent. So he told me what he was going to talk about, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but that sounds great, dude.
Yeah.
He did it, and I was like, Doctor, could you just do that again and like remember that we're not medical professionals, all of us? Like, right. I have no idea still what you're talking about. He's amazing. His is Meet Your Macrophages, Secret Warriors of the Immune System.
Yes.
So he did a beautiful job. Thank you, SSL, for redoing it. And I totally know what they are now and can't wait to foster a beautiful environment for them.
Love it.
Brandy Zachary, who's a really powerful doctor with an incredible personal story. Step-by-step lymphatic healing, very practical. Ryan Sternigal, planning your lymphatic rescue, so cute. Great name. Mona Moorstein, who is also a SIBO expert and a diabetes expert.
Yeah. She's
talking about diabetes in the lymphatic system. And Kiran Krishnan is also part of it, who is, of course, co-founder of Microbiome Labs. So we're talking about the microbiome. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And there are master classes, which half the thing is master classes, which are half-hour PowerPoint presentations that are conference-grade communication, like what you did. Yeah. And then the other half are interviews. I like to change the model up a little bit. I think it's a more robust learning experience.
That's great. That is, I'm excited for it. And folks, I put the link on to sign up in the show notes. So the link is in the show notes. And if you are on my mailing list, I do encourage you. If you are not, then you will know who's coming up on the podcast and what is going on at Nature Cures. Where that will be coming out in our emails as well. So you can find out more information about, connecting up with Shivan and about SIBO and the lymphatics and then all of her summits. I mean, she does produce some amazing, they're educational and entertaining. So the edutainment component of it, I love that because it makes things stick more better. I think that's the way that I would say
better,
it.
Greater, man, and never be boring. So that's part of it. I am really trying to make it entertaining and interesting.
Yeah.
More informative than anything.
Yeah.
But, if you're a self-proclaimed health advocate for yourself, citizen scientist, all these names we can call ourselves, you're the go-to that everyone goes and talks to when they need a protein powder, they need a vitamin C. What do you use? You're that thought leader amongst your peeps. Please come find the Health Rescue, the Lymphatic Health Rescue Summit with those links that Greg was just talking about, because I didn't even finish who else was on the summit. I mean,
well, we have time. I'm excited to hear. So let's hear what's the lineup, and then I want to end with some practical, maybe a how-to, one or two things folks can do.
Yeah. Okay. Amit Agarwal, I did not pronounce that well enough. He's obsessed with the liver. He's doing the liver lymphatic connection. And then Kareem Dahani, I don't know if you know him, but he is a really innovative healer. And I was having such a hard time getting a hold of him because I was going to do this summit like a year ago, and we had the appointment. I was like, dude, I'm waiting a year to do this. And then when I was ready, he wasn't. But Kelly Kennedy, Lymph Queen, is friends with him. So she harangued him into an interview. So she interviewed him for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great. So we also have Sue Hitzman, who created the MELT method, which I happen to be trained in. And it has to do with foam rollers and these soft balls that you can use to manipulate your own fascia and lymphatic system. And she literally gets down on the floor and does some of these techniques. Yeah. She's a spitfire, brilliant. Sinclair Canali, she is, her claim to fame, first of all, she's magnificent, but she has helped clients with detoxification to the point of I think it's over 17,000 gallstones her patients have removed. through bile and lymph and particular techniques.
Does she keep them all in a jar?
No, they stop counting after a while. And then Perry Nicholson is a chiropractor who has become obsessed with the lymphatic system. I was told about him by a massage therapist. I went onto Instagram, I saw what he was up to, and I messaged him, and he messaged me back. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And his whole platform is called Stop Chasing Your Pain. And he shows techniques that are slow exercises, many of which are like you rolling on the floor. It sounds crazy, but you got to watch him do it, to cleanse your lymphatic system. So he's powerhouse. And then cool. Sharon Stills. Do you know her?
No.
Dr. Sharon Stills. So she's amazing. Like, she is out there going to Switzerland and training people as well as getting trained. Definitely a follower of like Klinghardt and all that. And her one of her specialties is hormones. So that was interesting, the hormones and lymphatic system. Then the Zelinskis, Dr. Z and Mama Z, who are health advocates, health experts. He's also essential oil people.
Yes.
Incredible author. I love them. And she's Mrs. Georgia. And so she was talking about like all these techniques she did to help her beauty. And they talked a lot about different techniques and exercise and essential oils. It was a great conversation. Ginger Nash, ND, yes. Right? So yep. Cool. I heard her on another podcast over 2 years ago, and I was like, I have got to talk to that woman.
Love it. I went to school with her as well. I love that you have all of these naturopathic doctors on your summit.
They're brilliant.
Yes.
They are brilliant. They're the yin to the yang. You have to hear what they have to say because they're original thinkers. They've taken their knowledge and turned it into thinking. And then they're coming up with all these really creative ideas about how to heal. So yeah. Ginger talks about also your lymphatics and hormones and homeopathy that she uses. Very interesting. Keisha Ewers, I don't know if you know her, but she is a trauma specialist, an incredible healer. She talks about an incredibly personal story. Oh my gosh, it's so personal, about resentment in the lymphatic system and a scare with cancer. I have goosebumps. So you gotta watch. Oh, I didn't say a thing during the entire interview practically because I was just listening. Yeah. Because she was blowing my mind. Moving on, Dr. Tom O'Brien.
Yes.
Caring for your lymphatic system in a polluted world. Naomi Damask, how to become a breast cancer thriver. Our dear Donna Gates, colonics and a healthy lymphatic system. We go there. Dr. Paul Anderson, the lymphatic immune matrix and cancer. Brilliant. We all know him on this channel. Yes. And then Carolyn Ladowski, who is one of the smartest DNA genetic experts I know. I had an interview with her. I didn't know her. This was for another summit, and begged her to take me on as a client. And she has changed my life and my husband's life. And she talks about the histamine lymphatic connection.
Wow.
Amazing.
Cool.
A couple more, almost done. Bridget Danner, who's so practical and so beautiful and loving. And she talks about how she recovered from lymphatic stagnation and brushes with illness and has all these cool like tools at her house. So she's like moving the camera around, showing the stuff that she has there. It was really cool. Maya She-Treat, MD, healing the lymphatic system. Diane Kaiser is Toxic Beauty, hurting your lymph. She talks about toxic breast implants. And then Desiree Despong, who is from New Zealand and is actually the co-creator of the Flow Presso machine we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
So it was like right there. Rebecca Duggan, no one's ever heard of Rebecca before, okay? She is a massage therapist who I happen to know who does Arvigo abdominal massage, which is Mayan massage for fertility. And it's kind of a version of visceral manipulation. I've oversimplified that too. Sure. But a lot of lymph action. And she is one of my therapists. And I'm like, I got to get you on the Lymph Summit. So yes. never done anything like this before in terms of a talk. Did a great job. And then Eva Stotler, Breakthrough Technology for the Lymphatic System. And she talks about some of the tools she uses in her office.
Wow.
So,
phenomenal. Yeah. Action packed and full of knowledge. Yeah. I love it. So as we come down to the last few minutes, can you give us a technique? I mean, you told us about massaging here or just gently tapping.
Yeah.
Is there another thing that we could do while we're waiting for this information to come out on your summit to get our lymph moving?
Okay. Well, first of all, get up every hour, stand up. If you are, sitting in front of your computer, you got to get up. You got to get, even if you do a few stretches. There are some people who are saying about the lymph system that when you do the soft massage, this little gentle massage, to do it starting at the groin or the armpits, and that is wrong. You want to start up here. You just like cross your hands, rub on top of your clavicle, which is your collarbone, and then move down to your armpit area. And remember, there are 3 free interviews you can receive right away, as well as Kelly Kennedy's lymph book by registering. And then from there, you move to your sternum, just like below your sternum, and do a little rub. Then go to the groin area, then go to the back of the knees, and then I finish off with the feet. So that, I want to clarify that because a lot of people are like, oh, I know how to do that. But if you're not starting up at the clavicle, then you're not starting in the right place, because one of our speakers, I think Kelly did, I know we're running out of time, she talked about how it's like the toll booth and the traffic. If you don't clear the toll booth, you're going to have the rest of the traffic jam. Yeah. And that's what's happening up here at the top.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me, Greg.
Dropping the knowledge. Everybody, this is What the Health. If you liked today's show, please share this information with 2 loved ones. Think of them right now and share the show with your loved ones, because that is why I created the platform, What the Health, because you're not getting this out there in the mainstream media. We're coming to you with summits to educate you directly on how to take care of you, your family, your loved ones, and your community. We are here on the Contact Talk Radio on Tuesdays from 2 to 3 p.m. Pacific time every week. I will see you next week.